My ex, 20F, cheated on me, 21M, with a training friend, 20M. As the title describes, I was with my partner, F, for 3.5 years, and she cheated with a guy I knew for 2. I met this guy through a mutual sport we played. We became friends through our passion for it. At that time I had been dating my ex for just over a year. We'll call her Jane and Joe for simplicity. Oftentimes I would bring Jane to my training sessions, only because she was insistent on being there, but after coming for roughly a year I noticed changes. She would look at him differently, act differently around him, you name it. Joe is one of the dumbest and most simple people I have ever met. He has nothing going for him. I provided safety, loyalty, and opportunity through our relationship. But unfortunately, I went through a pretty bad time. I left the job I was working at due to poor treatment, so I was unemployed for about 2 months. And during that time I discovered she had been talking to him over social media and meeting up with him behind my back. He would pick her up from our house to take her places, and I never knew. She started going to the gym with him, lunch dates, paddle boarding, watching the sunset on multiple occasions together, and sending intimate pictures of herself to him. I found out about the pictures because she sent them to me and told me she sent them to him. I laid down a very clear boundary. I said, if you don't remove him from everything and stop seeing him, then we are done. In return, she turned off her location, started ignoring me more and more, refused to go out or do anything with me, would reject and form a physical affection, no sex, no hand-holding, no kisses, no hugs. At this point I already knew what was coming. I was helping to train kids, and she sent me a message. I'm going out with Joe, I'll be home before you finish. I got home at 7, she never came home, and he picked her up as her car was still in the driveway. She did this the night before, but I was unaware what she was doing. I stayed up, ready and willing to break up with her the second she came through that door. But as you know, she never came home. She messaged me at 11:30 saying, we need to talk. I already knew what was coming and asked her not to break up with me over social media. I left the house that night, and unbeknownst to me, 30 minutes after I left, Jane and Joe were at my old house and they spent the night together. Joe chalks this up to protecting her from me. I am a police officer. I have never hit or laid a finger on anyone. I do not do drugs and I do not drink often. Joe says he slept on the couch, which is complete bullshit. For more than 6 months, they both went behind my back and did God knows what together. 3 weeks after the breakup, and they are ducking every day, posting with each other on their stories and more. I have had both of them blocked since before that, but I found this out through mutual friends. I have since told them not to update me. Joe tried to get through to me by asking our mutual friends to tell me to unblock him. I told him to fuck right off. He says he was willing to clear the air and make things right, yet when he shows up to training he doesn't make eye contact, doesn't speak to me, and is afraid to even come near me alone. Obviously Jane was checked out way before any of this happened, but almost every day she said she was willing to make an effort for the relationship and work together. We barely argued, never screamed at each other throughout our time together. Instead, when I brought up that she needed to cut Joe off because their friendship was weird, she became defensive and said the usual, you're insecure, you're acting petty, and you never let me have any friends. Telltale signs of a narcissist cheating, right? I guess what I'm trying to figure out is that if we kept having chats about what we can improve on, and I was the only one ever doing it, why would she put me through a year of uncertainty and hell? Why not just leave me a year ago to fuck around with fuckface? At the end I asked to meet in person, because after 3.5 years you say bye in person, right? She ignored me for 2 days, saying she didn't want me to hurt her or yell at her in person, which I've stated, I have never in my life done anything like that or even remotely related to anyone I've ever known. After she kept dodging me, I finally had enough. I told her, meet me at the park at exactly 7 p.m. If you don't show up, I'm leaving and blocking you on everything. She didn't respond. I showed up at 6:30, waited 30 minutes, and the second it hit 7 I sent her a message saying, I waited for 30 minutes and you didn't show up. I'm putting the spare keys in the mailbox. Goodbye. She started blowing up my phone through text saying, you said around 7, not on 7. I told her to reread it, then blocked her on everything. I knew Joe for 2 years through our training. I invited him into my house, we drank together, went out together, did a lot together just for him to weasel into my life. Now don't get me wrong, I know Jane is a narcissist and I'm just stupid for not picking up on it earlier, but in the back of my mind, watching those two interact, I knew for the whole time it would happen, I just knew it. Obviously I'm upset and betrayed right now. It happened only a month ago and it sucks. I've heard all the usual you'll be fine without her, and whatnot, and I know I will. Never in my life would I dream of doing something like that to anyone. Joe is going around telling everyone I used to beat her and that I have a drinking problem, but is too scared to talk to me when I'm right in front of him. Obviously she's 90% of the problem and his 10%, but it just blows my mind that people can act like that, especially to their partner and best mate. I have more details if you need them. Cheers. And sorry for poor structure, I'm emotional right now. I specifically want this answered. I just want to know why not break it off earlier, why make me sit around wondering where you are, and why you can't respect a simple boundary and just drop one person to better our relationship, why ignore me mentally and physically for so long, why make me feel like I'm doing everything wrong and that I'm useless and can't do a single thing right, why make the one person you're meant to love feel like an absolute burden and the worst person ever. Edit 1. When she was doing what she was doing, I made it very clear on 2 occasions to either cut him off or I'll be gone. She would for a day then straight back to it again. She did this twice. It was after the second time that all this happened. Edit 2. Cheers for the support. I'm not interested in hearing from either of them. I was more looking for the psychology behind it so I can avoid it in the future. You've all given me very good and obvious points and I couldn't be more grateful. I have been quite emotional about the whole thing, but the time to move on is now and I couldn't be happier to do so.
Confession 2. I've realized I detest my boyfriend. We've been together almost 3 years. We live together. I support us 100%. In the time we've been together, he's worked maybe 2 months. He's depressed and anxious and he steals all the oxygen and joy out of every room. He never wants to go anywhere but then complains that we never go anywhere. I got him an interview at my work, a moderately well-paid entry-level position. He refused to go, saying he wasn't ready. Then spends time complaining about not having a job. You get the idea. Everything in our lives revolves around him and his moods. He cries, yells or just sighs incessantly. There's no laughter or happiness in our home. I walk on eggshells all the time. I dread coming home from work. He grabbed me a few days ago and shook me so hard I'm bruised on my upper arms. The apartment is in my name, but he literally has nowhere to go because he has no friends and he refuses to contact his family. So he'd be homeless and I can't do that to him, or any human really. I fantasize about being alone all the time. Like only cooking or shopping or doing anything just for myself. It would be incredible. To be able to breathe again. His birthday was last week and I saved up for a month to get him something related to his hobby. When I gave it to him, he said, "I just told you I didn't want to do this anymore. What were you thinking?" I think at that point any love I still felt for him just died. He doesn't cook, clean, care for his dog or do anything but play video games. I'm trapped in a prison and I just don't really care what happens to me anymore. I don't want to die, but I wouldn't be upset if I didn't wake up tomorrow, if that makes sense. I know what I should do, but I'm just a dumb bitch. Thanks for reading. Typing it out helps. Edit. Welp, this reached the front page and now I'm super uncomfortable with everything, so I'm not going to be posting anymore. I appreciate all the advice, the tough love too. Hopefully I'll be back with a happy update in the future. Thanks for everything, Reddit.